go and meet a man, or I mean, in that large number, and say, come out and vote. No, it is the women that will mobilize other women and say, listen,
this is where we're the direction.
Yes. So we just need to channel that properly.
So let me bring in our guest. Tari Taylor is a media professional and a TV producer with vast experience serving clients in both the public and private sector. She is the vice chairman environment of Lekki Zone and is the environment secretary of Lekki Estate Residents Association. Tari Taylor is the duly nominated candidate of the Youth Party to represent Etiosa 1 at the State House of Assembly in the just concluded 2023 elections that happened on Saturday. She's also campaigning she campaigned rather on a clear strategy to transform the environment and create jobs for many unemployed youths in the constituency. All these political terminologies. But she's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much, Tari Taylor.
Thank you.
First of all, let me ask you, for the just concluded elections, how was Saturday for you?
Saturday was quite an interesting day for me. I was ready, to participate in the elections. My team and I had my agents in all the polling units across, and we were basically good to go. But then we were watching out, for when the materials come out, and and then at that point we realized that my party had been excluded from the ballot for House of Assembly in Etiosa 1. Yes, so that was my experience. But still, I mean, it was a very busy day because, like I said, we already had all of our logistics in place, so we had to still manage people, manage all of our agents all around, take care of welfare, just still keep things going. So that kept me busy all of Saturday. I still went to vote.
How did that How did that
it had been an ongoing legal issue with INEC, but on the 2nd of December 2022, we had a judgment from the Supreme Court in our favor as a party, saying INEC should allow us participate as we are a duly registered, political party. Meanwhile, this is not my first time contesting. In 2021, at the local government elections, I was on the ballot on Youth Party. I ran for councillor of my ward. So I've been on the ballot before on this same platform, okay? And so when this happened, we got the judgment on the 2nd of December. So it was like, okay, you know what? You don't really expect INEC to just completely ignore and disobey Supreme Court judgments. But turns out that's exactly what they did. And
so are you planning to take any legal action, or what's the plan?
Going forward, you mean?
Yes.
I mean, since I've been running this campaign since May last year, I declared in May, we did the primaries, we did the screening, so it's been a long stretch. I think I have done all that I know to do as a candidate. In spite of all that uncertainty and all of that, I did the campaigning, I took it all upon myself, I expended everything that I did, and this was the outcome, which is fine. I mean, this is on INEC, they did this, However, I think if the party wants to follow it up, they should, but I wouldn't lead on that. I think I've done my part in the whole process.
Why do I feel so disappointed that you are not pursuing it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope it's pursued because, yes, why should they ignore a Supreme Court judgment? But I won't lead on it. I'm a candidate. I have run a strong campaign. I've done everything. I've done my groundwork. I've, connected with my electoral base. I had people come out. So I had to spend all of Saturday doing damage control. Everybody who was supporting me, I had to send messages to them saying, this is what has happened, but please, you still need to go out and vote. And I made sure that I went out to vote. So imagine I took that House of Assembly, paper. I saw myself excluded, but I voted because I wanted to let other people know that, look, let's move on. This has to happen, So that was it, and yeah.
So let's still just stay small on that subject of the Saturday election.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you put up a post on the what's it called, the tribal or religious bigotry that went on Saturday. Do you want to just probably say more about that?
I mean, when I found out that I had been excluded, it was terrible. I was disappointed and all of that, but like I said, I was busy, so it was easy to manage that and just carry on doing. But what really broke my heart was this tribal bigotry. You know, to just see that in, I mean, I have never experienced that before. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard about
tribal profiling,
yes. You know that it exists, but for the first time, I actually saw the face of it. You know what I mean? Like, this is ugly. This is terrible. I don't ever want, this is not the Nigeria that I know or that I want to be, you know, I want for us, for all of us. So I felt the need to, you know, reach out, because I just imagine that I don't see people on the basis of where they're from, or I just see everybody, we're all Nigerians. But to see that division and to see people who you know, who you respect, who are everyday people like you know, propagate that hate, to me, it was shocking. And I thought, you know what, no, we need to reach out to the people, you know, who have been directly affected by this. We need to, you know, sort of all just find a way to sort of heal from this, because it really is bad. And the thing about it that even scared me the most was, people talk about, you know, separating, leaving Nigeria. They talk about Biafra. They talk about all of that. And I've always been a very strong advocate for one Nigeria. I believe that, you know, one Nigeria is a non-negotiable. We should always find a way to hold together. But for the first time, I sort of understood where the argument was coming from. Yes, I totally understood it, because I'm like, you know what? If I was on the receiving end of that, I would say,
there's no point. Yes, like, keep your and let me go back. Yeah.
But I don't want us to all get there. We can't afford to get there, because we are better off together. So the healing needs to start. It needs to be, you know, it needs to be urgent. It needs to be strategic. And it's all hands on deck. Like, we all have a responsibility to reach out.
And I think the person I would pin this on is the CNC. What do they call the person? You know, you're the CNC in charge of the state. You know, a lot happened. Again, these people thought they were fighting your battle. So that's why they were calling out, you know, and, you know, calling a particular tribe. So if you truly want to heal from this, because again, you cannot ignore what this particular tribe have brought to your IGR.
Exactly. Yes.
You can't ignore it. I'm sorry, you cannot. They actually are, anywhere they go to, they drive the economy. They are that industrious. So you can't just wake up and, because of politics, ignore the kind of financial return that these people bring for you as a people. So, but I mean, we will take a very short break. Then we'll now focus on women's seats, because we have short our time. Stay with us. We'll just go out and we'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having a conversation and we're asking, how can we get more women in the seats of power? And we have a woman. She's been in political scene for a while, and she's been contesting. You know, she's here with us, you know, to discuss more about this, right? And please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Ways Show Africa, one with the hashtag Ways Show. All right, so Terry, let's now move to the conversation around women. I mean, when the Adamawa State, right, and she ran a very tight race, right? But when, of course, they broke my heart. First of all, people were saying that why were we congratulating her? We made it, you know, we jinxed it. Yeah, it was too early.
INEC did, so yes,
you know, it was too early that, and we were overhyping, we were over celebrating her. People didn't understand what it meant. Yes, that was a win for all women. But this issue around women in leadership, right? It's a big deal. I mean, Diola mentioned finance. Chinelo was talking about standards, how we put a lot of expectations when it's a woman that is running, but when it's a man, nobody's asking those kinds of questions. How do we truly get women, you know, more women to occupy seats of power? There's a law that says we must fill 35%. We're not even following that, and nobody's even questioning it. So how do we even start? Where do we start from if we really want to follow through? And I like what you said about strategy, because I'm not about emotions anymore. After this election, they have opened my eye to see that it's not about emotions. We just need to be very strategic. So how do we strategically get more women seated at high levels of power?
So first of all, more women have to desire it. More women have to want that power and to be in those and to occupy those offices. So when you have more women wanting it, and not just wanting it to be handed over to them, but willing to put in the work, you know, and go into political parties. You can't just sit here and wish yourself into office. You have to go into a political party. You have to be part of the political party system, because our Electoral Act doesn't allow for independent candidates. So you have to be part of a political party for them to present you as a candidate. And that is a race on its own. You know, you're not just going to get up doing elections and say, I want to join a political party. If you want to be elected in 2027, you have to start the work.
Join the party now.
You know, join the party, find yourself a role, start to add value, start to volunteer, you know, let people know you, let people even within the party start to know you, start to trust you, so that when you now come out and say, oh, I want to, you know, buy the form for one position or the other, there will be people who will back you up. There will be delegates who are willing to vote for you. But if you just come out of nowhere and just expect that there will be some sort of, because you're a
handouts,
woman, you know, it will just be handed over to you, that is completely wrong. And that is why a lot of people in the parties will not even respect a woman who will come up, because they're like, why should we all just hand it over to you because they are doing 35%? No, you have to fight for it as well. So I think that it's a joint understanding. If the political parties are more willing to put forward more women, so they can now put in within their processes things that will allow for that, you know, to happen. For example, maybe they would, in my party, when I was running for House of Assembly now, so the form for the House of Assembly was ₦1 million, but because I'm a woman, I got it for 500,000. So that's a little incentive, you know, you can do with the forms. And I know that different parties do it.
Some even give for free.
But I think you should pay for a form. I think you should pay for a form. It's your own first investment into your own. So pay for a form. I would advise anyone to.
I actually think so too.
Yeah. It's your way of committing and saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take the money, and I'm going to invest in this. So it's you committing to it, and it shows your seriousness, to be honest.
Absolutely.
You know, you would appreciate a form better when you have
bought
it. That way they took it and give it to you, you know.
Yeah.
So more of those sort of incentives, you know, will allow women feel that, okay, if a campaign is not going to be too expensive, I don't have to go and sell my house. If I'm going to get the funding to do it, like you said, you know, it would encourage more people. But first of all, you have to come in and be willing to do the work. Be willing to come in and, you know, do the groundwork, the back-end work, not the glorious work that everybody will see, but go and be the one that is arranging chairs during meetings. Do you understand? Be the one to provide food, to provide welfare when people need. Let people know you and be able to vouch for you and say, you know what, because a lot of times, you know, people are actually, there's sometimes a bit of fear even towards women vying for these positions. That may, because of our society, that may be an instinctive, you know, reaction. People are afraid. But when you show people that there's nothing for you to be afraid of, I'm somebody you can trust, I'm somebody that you even want to be in power because you know that it will benefit you. You know what I mean? So once you can make yourself that way to people, it reduces those barriers, and you'll be surprised that it's even the men that will be pushing you forward and saying, no, let her be the one. That has been my experience, even in, you know, in Lera, in Lekki, you know, where I occupy some positions. I've always been recommended by, you know, men who have pushed me forward and said, you know, she will do the work, she will get it done. And it has encouraged me through my political career too to step out, you know. Before you can be a candidate, people have to nominate you. And, you know, a lot of times, a lot of guys would be the one to say, Tari, you do it. You are the one to go forward. But that's because I've paid my dues in that sense. I've always been available, always been accessible. They know that if they want something done, she will get it done, you know. So it builds that trust over time.
Okay, so I wanted to add something to where you say, I often find that women think that being soft and, you know, all that vulnerability is a weakness for them. So a lot of times we tend to think, no, I have to come across like, you know, very tough, very aggressive. And I don't think that's the way to go. I honestly think that we can weaponize that softness. It can become a strategy because people naturally gravitate towards empathy. And we have that in abundance. I mean, well, most women, you know, and we can use that. We are the ones that can easily relate to the grassroots women. You understand what it means for her to go through all the trouble to feed her kids. You understand what it means for her to put 2 naira, 3 naira together to say, okay, I want to feed my family. And I honestly, like, because a lot of women I speak to, they go like, oh, I need to, you know, once I'm in that position, I need to be very tough so that all these people won't be looking at me like I'm too soft or somebody wants to take advantage. No, just be your natural self and just let it play out. People that would, everybody would, and I think for women, we want everybody to like us. Everybody will not like us. Everybody will not accept us.
You know, I totally agree with you. I do. It's even false when you try to be something you're not.
Yeah.
You know, there are some women who, by their personality type, are aggressive and come across strongly. That's fine, if that's your personality. But there are other people who are maybe a bit reserved, a bit soft-spoken, and people would imagine that would mean you won't get the respect of people out there. But I think it's even this Madam Binani in Adamawa, when I first of all heard or saw her that she was running, I now said, let me go and look for a video of her because I wanted to like experience what she was like. And I was so shocked at how soft-spoken and like very gentle, you know, mannered she is. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. She's not the stereotype, you know, that you described as brash, aggressive and all that. And it was welcoming and refreshing to me to see that, because I was like, I'm happy that she's just an easygoing woman, like she appears to be an easygoing woman, like every other person you know. And I think for me, that's a winner. Just be yourself, be your authentic self. The people that will gravitate to you if you're aggressive will gravitate to you. The people that will gravitate to you if you're gentle will gravitate to you. So just be yourself.
Okay, yeah. So I like what you said about putting in the work, right? But then it's been said, because I remember there was a particular candidate with the party who was a woman. Then she was also young, so it wasn't even just because she was a woman. Now it was also because she was young. She didn't get the presidential ticket she was trying to get at the time. Okay. So what would you have to say about that?
Well, I don't know the exact, you know.
No, I'm talking generally now.
You're referring to. But I would say, you know, I'm not of the school of thought. You were saying it earlier. I slightly have a different way of looking at it. I'm not of the school of thought of saying I would just support someone because she's a woman. No, I'm sorry. It's not that easy. No, you have to earn my respect. You have to earn my vote. You have to earn my, you know, like every other person. I don't see things like that. I won't. Yes, I may be a little bit more biased in terms of giving you more of my attention or being more sympathetic in the way I view your, but I will not automatically just vote for someone because she's a woman. I'm sorry. You have to tick the boxes. There has to be competence. I have to see your character and feel like you're somebody I can trust with leadership. You know, I'm not just going to do that. So, and I don't really, I know, I understand the urgent need for more women to be in politics and in government, but it should be the right woman.
I want to ask
it should be the right woman.
These same standards that you have just said now, do you put it for men?
Which same standards?
Because you see, people have heard these arguments.
Competence and all of that.
I've heard this argument about competence, character, and all of that.
I do.
The crop of leaders that we have today, can you categorically say that there is competence, there is character?
Some. It's not an abundance of them.
It's not.
There is some.
It's very minimal.
But you see, the bar has raised.
So the way I'm driving with the conversation is, the point I'm trying to make is that in terms of all that criteria of competence and character and all of that, if you put all the crops of everybody together, so let them all be incompetent together, as far as I'm concerned. Because again, we know it's true, because we've tried out men for so long. Imagine if we had women in the seats of power, right? Like policy makers, especially.
Had some women in very high offices.
No, I'm talking about a good number for policy makers, especially, not really the executives.
So like the critical mass.
Yes, the critical mass of women, especially where some policies are being crafted. There is a way a woman will craft. There's a way you would craft a policy that will be completely different from how a man will craft that policy. Yeah. Right. So, but let me just step aside, because that competence matter. after this election, I don't want to know
but come
what
on.
you are.
The fact that we are disappointed by is like those jokes, those memes you always see on Instagram. What I ordered versus what I got. You know?
So let us just be ordering the wrong thing. It's true.
The fact that we are disappointed doesn't mean you should give up.
I would not.
How would we ever get what we want if we don't persist?
So let me just quickly divert a bit. I want to digress a bit. I want to focus on you a little bit. Okay. Now, you ran under a party. Now, look at Binani. She ran under a very strong political party.
The ruling party.
It's a ruling party. Now, I want to understand the role of the party for women because, again, I see that a lot of the smaller parties are very quick to give tickets and all of that, you know, to women, you know, and all of that. They are very quick to do all of those things. But when it comes to the bigger parties, like the big political parties, the big political players, it's very difficult. So for her to have gotten that ticket, you would know that the kind of work she must have put in, you know, she would have matched maybe 10 men, you know, because she would have done 10 times what the men would have done for her to have gotten that seat. So the question I'm trying to ask is it wisdom anymore for women that are trying to put themselves, if we want to, start to increase our seats of power, is it wisdom for us to continue to run under smaller parties, or we should start considering, you know, the bigger players?
Well, that's a question for every politician, you know, but speaking specifically to women, you know, as a politician generally, I don't even like to just genderize it, or how do I call it? You want to be standing on a firm foundation. Look at what happened to me. You know, yes, I've run on this party before and I have been on the ballot, but you know, the way it went because of INEC just decided to do what they did. But it will be, there have been candidates from even the more established parties who have been excluded. You know, we all know the presidential elections is not every party that was on the ballot for that, you know. So sometimes because of legal issues or whatever, it could happen. But I think that going forward, it is very important. But it's a two-way thing. Yes, I agree with you, and I think that we should be in those more established parties because it provides a stronger platform to run on. They have more structure, they have more, but it's a reality. There is more structure, there is more, of course, with INEC, it's harder for INEC to mess with their, you know, them and all of that like that. But there's also the idea of the culture that has formed within that party. And would it allow us to get the best woman out at the end of the day? If there is a culture of impunity or lack of internal democracy, or what if the woman, what if she bought the ticket? We should still support her because she's a woman. What if she has a godfather or godmother, somebody that just put her there? We should still support her just because she's a woman. So those double standards kind of exist. If Madam Binani had won, and I mean, I was rooting for her, I would have liked her too, because I thought, okay, this woman looks, but if there's a flaw with the system, should we say, oh, let them just give her a job because she's a woman? Shouldn't the right thing be done? Shouldn't there be fair and credible elections? So I don't think we should just wish away those standards because we want to see.
I have one for us.
What are your thoughts on this special seats being designated for women? You know, especially when the current assembly is saying, oh, maybe we don't have seats to give, and then women are saying, okay, you know,
why don't just create new seats?
What are your thoughts on that?
So special seats and so are you asking me about creating more seats?
More seats so that we can, and that those seats are specific for women.
I think government is already too expensive
to do more
seats. So the cost of governance in Nigeria is too high. So when you add more seats, that's more constituency offices, more staff for the people, more allowances. So it's just going to bloat government more. But can we start with the 35%?
Let us even do that.
Can we even do 30%? Let's do 20. I don't think they need to reinvent the wheel. We have said 35%. That's a form of affirmative action.
Let's
even try with that one first. there's no need to have the assembly too bulky with too many seats. Now, let's work with what we have.
So you said something about free and credible election. So a lot of people have accused. They said that it is impossible for political parties not to rig election. Do you believe that? That even the party that that everybody is saying, oh, this, that that all of them from top to bottom they rig elections. Do you agree with that school of thought?
Well, who is in political parties? It's people like you and me, people who make decisions, who take decisions. So it's not as if the party is just one abstract institution that will just rig. No, they have soldiers that they send out to snatch ballot boxes. They have agents that go out to pay people, for their votes. They have masterminds who sit down and strategize the whole thing. So this is people like you and me. So until we reach the individual people and all somehow have a change of orientation, it will not be different. The party systems will still be this, intrinsically corrupt until the people change their minds. And people will never change their minds if there's no consequences.
Yeah.
So the law has to be enforced. People that are caught for electoral fraud and rigging and all that, they need to be persecuted. We need to see the full wrath of the law come upon them. That's how you would dissuade other people. But if we just say it and pay lip service to it, nothing is going to change. People are still going to keep on doing what they're doing.
Okay. Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of what I say in #ways. How can we get more women into seats of power? Firstly, they have to make themselves available to contest for positions in office. Then they can be voted for. Secondly, they need encouragement. Also, me personally, I have mentioned it so many times in my previous comments that women can deliver if given the chance to. Women generally are passionate for a change. The previous government promised us change for 8 years and failed to deliver. If a woman was there, I'm